Aston Villa 1, Everton 2. I tried to get the final whistle, but my phone decided it was going to take a full 7 minutes to switch on. No need for that. They're trying to drown us out with the Foo Fighters and it's not working. Overall, a very physical, a very competent until the last 10 minutes, but I would say a very good performance by Everton. Michael Keane, outstanding. Nathan Patterson, outstanding. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, outstanding. James Garner, I mean, I could list almost all of them. Such a good performance for 80 odd minutes. Spawning deflection. I guess you could say he made it interesting, but there's no need for that. Right. Here's the lads.
Thanks to Matt Fluss for giving us his story down at Villa Park, and remarkably, I don't think the three of us now, me, Pete and Les, will be talking about Everton picking up another victory away from Goodison Park. But no, we're not dreaming, and we're here to assess that game as well. As we're talking, we'll see who we get in the next round of the Carabao Cup as well, because the draw's about to start. First of all, lads, come to you first, Les. I didn't think we'd be sitting here at 10:30 after an away game at Villa Park, where we've traditionally had a really shit record. Come away with a win and still in the Carabao Cup. Can't believe it, but it looked like we actually played well too.
Yeah, I wasn't confident I was going into the last 16.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, I mean, going to this game, I was saying this and talking to people on Twitter and whatnot about our game, and I thought, do you know what? If someone said to me, you go through to the next round, but you don't get through, you go get 3 points against Luton, I'd have thrown this round straight away. But yeah, you know, the way our away fans are absolutely brilliant, sent a full crowd down there. And to be fair, I think if you ask most of them, if you had to choose, it'd be 3 points against Luton rather than going through to the next round with Aston Villa. But nonetheless, I think the momentum that people probably didn't think was going to come following that good win away at Brentford. You know, you go to Villa again, a traditionally bad place for us to go to, and play them off the pitch. I mean, I don't think 2-1 doesn't do us justice there. I thought we were superb. And I mean, how did you feel when you seen the lineup? I mean, I was surprised at how serious we were going into this, Les.
Yeah, well, I thought he'd pick a decent team because I don't really think he's got that much choice. I think because the drop off after the first sort of 11, it's quite bad. That said, looked at the first team, thought, yeah, that's a good, strong first team. A little bit sceptical about 5 at the back, and 2 in midfield, because I thought you play 2 in midfield, you got a chance of getting overrun there. But then you look at the bench, and there was a nice balance on the bench, and even when you make the substitutions, although again it was pretty much like for like, there was quality coming on, wasn't there, to replace the players that were on. Just on that midfield, though, that was where I thought I was most concerned, because I think when you play 5 at the back, it's a nice way to sort of keep a solid back line, but you can really get overrun in midfield. But I thought Onana and Jimmy Bidston were brilliant tonight. That was the sort of game I've been wishing to see from Amadou Onana all season. So when I've been saying in post-match, you know what, I want to see more from him, need to see a bit more from him. I think tonight we got that. He controlled that midfield. He was really good. He wasn't just throwing tackles in and throwing his arms up in the air. He was getting hold of the ball. He was picking out good passes. He just looked really good. Thought James Garner looked brilliant as well in the middle. It was just a nice complete performance. Although, you know, towards the end it got a bit shaky last 10 minutes after they equalised. But as you say, it didn't flatter us at all. And that's the second away game on the spin now whereby we've come away deserved winners. You know, from 2 decent Premier League teams in Aston Villa and Brentford. And you know, you can say, oh, well, at the weekend, well, Brentford didn't play well at all, which they didn't. But then if you say, well, Villa didn't play well at all, because they put out a pretty strong team as well. you've got to look at it and say, well, do you know what? We played well in both games, so maybe that's why these two teams didn't play well against us. And it's just nice again to come away and with the win into the last 16. And I know what you're saying about like we'd sooner have the 3 points against Luton, but for me, a cup run's absolutely everything because it does keep the momentum up. And now, this stands us in with a really good chance of going into the next two like winnable home games and getting good results. So it's just a nice momentum builder, and especially it's a different matter if like West Ham beat Lincoln tonight. You go away to Lincoln and you beat them. You kind of expected to go away to Aston Villa and beat them. That's such a good result, and it's got to give everyone such a lift. And the away crowd sounded bouncing tonight. It reminded me, remember when the Villa game beat Villa go top, and it was absolutely bouncing at Villa Park. They were so loud, couldn't hear a thing out of them tonight. It was just all Everton fans. It was great.
I don't know if anybody's watching this while I'm recording here, but they're just about to do the draw. If you've got it on your tellies, and obviously you will have by the time you'll have seen it when you listen to us, but it looks like Don Goodman and Neil Lennon are sitting in the toilets just about to throw the balls out the hat. I have no idea where they've put it there because obviously
Christ, they are as well, yeah.
What is going on there? That's Emma Sanders, who's actually a good friend of mine who's doing it, but it just looks like they've put them in like a changing room or something like that. That it looks like they're in as close to four walls as you can see. But the draw is about to come out now, and we'll get on that in a sec with that when it comes out. We're number 9 on the balls that are drawn. Anyway, Pete, I've got your take on this tonight. Les, it's actually funny the narrative we've had all week talking about Onana quite a lot. That doesn't look like the player that we wanted, or the player is going to give us what he's actually got. Tonight, without going too far ahead of myself, there was plenty of that to see. The player that we actually signed was in action against Aston Villa.
Oh, he was absolutely superb. That's the best I've seen from Amadou Onana in an Everton shirt, hands down. Thought he was absolutely incredible. I think he took on that role, the extra responsibility, like as Les has said about we was playing 3 at the back, 1 less man in midfield. I think the extra space actually suited Amadou Onana down to the ground. He was absolutely everywhere. He was going in for tackles. He was shielding the back line. He was spreading balls all over the place. He was running. He was breaking the lines. He was absolutely incredible. And as I say, that's the type of performance I've been waiting from him, from him since we signed him. And it was just brilliant to see. Obviously, it's one game. I want to see more of it from him. But that, for me, was the glimpse of the Amadou Onana that I want to see from now on. That's the exact player I thought that we were signing. And as I say, maybe just that little bit of extra responsibility. The fact that he did have, such a huge role to play tonight. There was no hiding. There was no sort of allowing Idrissa Gana Gueye to run round and do all like the dirty work. He had to do everything, and he did. He stepped up and did it. James Garner as well. I thought he was absolutely superb. The press, just watching the players press as a single unit, especially the first half. We could have been out of sight by half time. I thought we were absolutely superb. Jack Harrison as well. I like the fact that Jack Harrison did a really shit corner just so we could get like the first your shite out the way. And then he just absolutely took off, and he was brilliant. Thought he was absolutely outstanding. One ball in particular that he threaded through for Calvert-Lewin, where the keeper saved it, and Calvert-Lewin, very tight angle, couldn't quite finish. But the drop of the shoulder and the lovely little no-look pass in between the lines, superb, Jack Harrison. So I think there was plenty tonight, plenty to be to take into Luton at the weekend, and certainly. I hate to say it, but does this mean we might have turned a bit of a corner? The last 2 results certainly show that we're able now to score goals. We're able to be a threat to teams. We'd said earlier on in the season we were creating chances. We just didn't have anyone to finish them. But now it looks like we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who looks full of confidence. What I liked about Calvert-Lewin as well, the last 2 games, both goals that he scored have been one-on-ones, which has been something that he's actually been criticised for in the past, where maybe he hasn't been taking them chances. And they're sometimes the hardest ones to take as a striker because you've got time to think. you've got that added little bit of pressure. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be really, you've got to be confident to score a 1-on-1 in these situations, especially the way goalkeepers are now. And Calvert-Lewin slotted both, and he looks like the Dominic Calvert-Lewin that we know and love. So, and it was great as well to hear the away end singing his name for a large chunk of the game. It was fantastic, and just on the away fans, by the way, I've got to say, I can't wait to get back on the aways myself. I'll be back on.
We're on a home draw. You say aways, we're on a home draw. The team's about to come out right now.
Oh, miles behind here.
No, Everton are out now, and we have got number 1, Burnley at home.
Burnley at home.
Take that,
Everton, the Dyche derby. Do you know what? I mean, I said again, I've got to repeat myself here, but I said that I don't care if we're in this competition or not. But when you start getting draws like this, and you go through a team that look like they were going to beat you, let's face it, with Aston Villa, you've got a home tie. It's against the side that's one of our rivals to stay in the Premier League. You start to think, is this your year? But anyway, by the by, let's go back to this. Jack Harrison debut, Les, and I was very impressed at how he did. Looked at the energy the lad's got. I think he's got a lot of versatility in what he can do in terms of moving across the pitch, not just on the wing side. Just before you answer about him, by the way, what formations do you think that was we put out there? Because when I seen, and we'll talk about Keane in a bit, because I actually thought he was really good. You've got Keane, you've got Tarkowski, and you've got Branthwaite as a flat back line of 3 central defenders. You've got Patterson on one side, and then who do we have on the left side? In Mikalenko to start on. I mean, is that just a straight back 5 with the 2 wing backs there?
Yeah, I think it was a 5-2-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And I thought Onana and Garner, and then we had Harrison and Danjuma just behind Calvert-Lewin. And do you know what? I have to praise. I'm doing a lot of things that was the exact opposite of this week, and praising players, but also praising Sean Dyche here, because that setup isn't conventionally one that we've saw from him, or one with the bottle that he had to go with against the side that we're playing away from, who are a better club than us these days.
Yeah, it's always. I mean, we've had this conversation so many times over the last couple of seasons that a manager will just like willy-nilly throw in a 5-3-2 or a 5-2-3 or something at some point. You know, when we're conceding goals, a manager just say, "I'll tell you what, we'll just stick 5 at the back and see how we get on." And it usually kind of blows up in our face. I think Burnley away we tried and we won 5-1, didn't we, that time around Christmas? But other than that, it seems like we just lash 5 at the back and it goes a bit wrong. But so yeah, it was quite a bold move to do that tonight. Obviously learned lessons, I think, from the paneling we got last time at Villa Park. So he's gone kind of more defensive and thought we'll hit them on the counter attack. And it's, you know, that's probably a little bit unfair to say that's what we just did, because although we didn't have like all the possession, when we did have the ball, we were better. When we didn't have the ball, we were better. It was just a really good display, but as you say, you know, a sort of an unfamiliar formation. I think the balance looked really good as well.
Yeah.
It's, you know, given, I think maybe we've been a little bit harsh on them so far this season, as Pete said. You know, all we needed was a striker to come in to sort of add that presence up front. And, you know, you look at this team now, had we had that against Wolves and Fulham, we may well have won those games. We could now be mid-table going into last 16 in the Cup. I know it's all like, you know, conjecture because we'll never know, but it does look a lot more balanced than you think. You know, you've got Harrison and Danjuma there, and then who came on for him? McNeil came on, and then Guy came on to sort of change the formation a little bit. But yeah, it just looked like a really well-balanced side that, you know, everyone knew the job, everyone did the job well. Against, as I said, you know, it was a decent Aston Villa team that got put out there as well. So, you know, we made the 3 changes at half-time as well, Unai Emery. And still, they weren't really in it. I don't think until they got that goal, which just, by the way, you said Michael Keane had a good game. Is he just the unluckiest fella going to basically like have a goal go flying in off him when he's actually had a really good game?
Yeah.
It was just, you can't really fault anything about that performance at all. You know, even down to the subs, they came on at the right time. They probably disrupted the momentum a little bit I think changing the whole midfield, yeah, probably disrupted things a little bit, but yeah, can't have any complaints at all, and it's not very often that we get to say that. So that's lovely, isn't it?
I didn't think we'd be saying it towards the end of September, that's for sure. But you mentioned there about the subs. I never thought we'd be saying this, Peter, here, but the 5 substitutions we made on the 5 that came on, Ashley Young, who started all season, and this is going without slating him at the moment, but Ashley Young, Dwight McNeil, who's a first team, he's a starter, he's just part of the starting 11. Beto, our new signing up front, probably say the same thing about him. Trisha Gay, obviously first teamer, and Abdoulaye Doucouré, also obviously a first 11 player. You put 5 players on there who are first team regulars, and then all of a sudden you think, well, hang on, that side we've started there, you probably take when you look at. Aside from Michael Keane, without to throw in the criticism that we normally do about him, but you take him out of that, and I don't know, maybe Patterson. I don't know, I'm clutching at straws here, but there's only one of that 11 there who you would say is not a regular, or who you'd want to be a regular. So you add all that together, you say you've got 10 on there, and you're bringing on 5 subs who've been regular starters. You're thinking, hang on, have we actually got a squad here? You're looking at what, 11 that starts and another half a dozen. You're looking at what, 16 players, 17 players maybe. You think, do you know what? We can actually do something with those lads if others were injured and whatnot. And it's so funny how this game, and it does, it takes you by surprise so many times, no matter how old you are and watched it for most of your entire life, how momentum can change that quickly, isn't it? Because the way in which we played looked like it was with confidence, and it looked like a bounce on from what we did against Brentford. Admittedly, before the game, I wasn't bothered about the strength of the 11 that we put out there. I was more concerned about we have the people we need to be fit against Luton this weekend. Nonetheless, Sean Dyche, much against what I would think he'd do, went gung-ho with the team there, but he went gung-ho with us, actually looking at that substitution bench and thinking, oh yeah, he's fielded our full 11 when he hasn't actually really. And you're thinking, do you know what, we've got a squad here. Is there a time we can look at this and work with it? And is that little bit of confidence that's coming away when we've just gone two games away and won them both?
Well, yeah, I think one thing, it was a great chance for him to get minutes in the legs of some of the players who maybe are, we will be relying on as more squad players this season, or players who are just coming back. So Calvert-Lewin, for example, it's great to see another sort of 60 minutes, for him. I think that's
looked
crucial
really sharp as well, Pete, didn't he?
Looked really sharp. And obviously, in terms of his fitness, he was close to full fitness before he got that facial injury. So I think it sounds mad, but the facial injury wasn't that bad, because it meant that he could still carry on training. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's gonna set him back in terms of his general fitness, but obviously you still want that match sharpness. So the fact that he's had two games now, he's got 2 goals in his last 2 games will do him the world of good. He's got some good minutes in his legs tonight. Jack Harrison as well, who managed to get, I think he got just over an hour, didn't he, or about an hour. So he's got some good minutes in the tank. It was great to see James Garner as well in midfield and in a more sort of central role. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. But yeah, it was good. It was a good opportunity as well. And the other thing as well is that there may be times this season where we do have to play 3 at the back. There may be times where we have to, depending on availability, depending on who we're playing against, in terms of form and all kinds of things. So it was a good opportunity to be able to experiment a bit. I'll be honest, tonight, I kind of, I'd kind of.
Don't go too far, Pete. You've got experience of doing this. Don't go too far. What you're about to say?
No. I was gonna say, I actually,
in the league and the League Cup.
I've never said that. I've never ever said anything like that. Ever.
Mate, you've got a reputation with us on the Blue Room that you're the most positive person anyone has met.
Yeah, positive, but not unrealistic.
That was a good time to start.
Positive, but not unrealistic. I just don't. I'm just not doom and gloom. What I would say is though, I'd written off tonight. So I'd kind of, like the way before a match you get really nervous and you're like, really, so obviously, anytime Everton plays, it doesn't matter who we're playing. I feel like that feeling of utter dread. I didn't really have it that much as much tonight, because I kind of just sort of accepted a few weeks ago that, you know what, that's probably the one we can sort of, we can let go of because we've got bigger fish to fry. We need to concentrate on the league. But as soon as we went 1-0 up, I was pacing round. I was nervous. The little hair I have left has left my head now. And that's 2-0 as well. And I'd say I was sat there with my dad watching it. And my dad even said, like, does any other team get this? When it's like 10 minutes to go, you're 2-0 up. And we were absolutely dreading it. It was horrible. And then Villa get the goal back, and you think, oh, here we go. Do other teams get that and genuinely believe it like we do? Because as soon as Villa score a scrappy, horrible, deflected goal, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh my God, we're going to get beat. Do other people get that feeling? Because I was, anyway, but thankfully we came through. But again, in terms of the players, in terms of the confidence we can take from that, I thought that the performance, although we did look a bit more shaky in the sort of last 10 or 15 minutes after the changes had been made and after Villa came at us a bit more, the fact that we held out and we looked like a competent side, I think we can take so much out of tonight. And again, going back to the initial question, it was great to see some minutes in the legs of some of the players who needed it.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Spot on. We've only got a couple of minutes left here. Les, what's your main take from this tonight? Because just before you go forward, mine was my favourite player by an absolute mile these days is Jared Brandwaite. He just looks like a Rolls Royce of a player whenever I see him. I seen him give the ball away once today, and I was like, that isn't him. Someone's come in to impersonate whoever he was, because you think he's just going to be fantastic wherever he ends up, not just at Everton. And the other one for me as well, which I'm guessing you might well agree with, is James Garner. I think that out of the rare spots of decent recruitment we've done in years gone by, possibly for the last decade, he's getting closer and closer to the top of my list of a decent player that we've signed for a relatively decent price to play in our midfield. All Sean needs to do is just keep playing him in midfield and not at right back and not at right wing back. Keep him in the middle of that pitch, and you've got Onana next to him. You've got something that looks like it can concede as a partnership.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see more of that. I think it looks like with Harrison in the team now, back fit, it looks like we've probably got enough forwards and wide players to not need to play Jimmy Bidston out there. So hopefully, he'll get time in the middle. I think my main takeaway from tonight, though, is just the I think as Pete was alluding to, the overall sort of, and you yourself said, the squad depth, dare I say, looks decent now.
Yeah.
The bench, the players that came on, it wasn't a load of kids. We didn't have two goalies on the bench. It was decent first team players coming on into a team that was playing well. So yeah, it just suddenly, from nowhere this week, everything suddenly looks much better. It could all go tits up at the weekend, you don't know.
And it will.
But, do you know what I mean? If you look at it now, those two, as I said, those two games, you can't say it was just down to Brentford and Villa being crap, because it can't happen like that. It must be down to us being good as well. So yeah, we just got to keep the confidence now. And nothing silly from the manager, nothing silly from the players. Don't see why we can't get 6 points out the next two. There, I said it.
There you go, mate. Yeah, it's amazing after 5 days, when we were all talking the week before, thinking, we'll probably be down by January. Half the team will be fit and we'll sack. We'll have Sean Dyche sacked next week if we possibly can as well. Thanks to everyone for listening. Hope you've had a safe journey home, as most of you will be listening on the road on the way back. Really good night that everyone deserved down at Villa Park. Another couple of games, like Les mentioned there, that we're guaranteed to get 6 points from. Do take a note that it was Les who said that and nobody else.
Dave, before you finish this, one last shout out for these people.
That didn't work. So he's singing it. Do you know, everyone who listens to this, he took ages to get on the podcast here because he had all sorts of technical difficulties. And now he's just tried to redeem himself by playing some top-class Everton noise. And he's had to sing it because it broke down. What is going on with Pete's technology and whatever Wi-Fi
technology works just fine. Basically, the Everton fans tonight were absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to say before as well was that you can see the difference that the fans make. You can see the difference having an away end that's bouncing and getting behind the players can make. And I really want to see that at Goodison Park on Saturday.
Yeah.
I want to see us going back to Evertonians have been beaten into submission over the past 3 years. We've been absolutely hammered. We've been attacked by our own board. We've had to put up with all kinds. Let's get back to getting behind the team, as we always do, by the way. But let's go to Goodison and bring that atmosphere, because that atmosphere tonight at Villa Park was absolutely incredible. So hats off to every single Evertonian who was there.
I'll still be wearing my boots and slacks in the park end, don't worry.
Oh, you'll be off. You'll be off with 20 minutes to go.
Listening to two lads who we're going to having a party when we've gone 6 more points and ended up in 12th or something. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the party that's going to be happening around Goodison Park if that's the case with two of these lads? Anyway, we all up the same thing is. Thanks very much for listening once again, and we'll be back post match after the Luton game. Hopefully 3 points to celebrate on Saturday night. And thanks for listening, and up the Toffees.